looks like we have some big cruise ship news. Contracts are being signed, the suits are shaking hands, and cruise ships are being sold. One of the new buyers of a brand new vessel, well, I wouldn't say new, more like a seasoned vessel here. However, one of the buyers is arguably one of the worst operating cruise lines that are out there right now. I am, of course, talking about Margaritaville at Sea. However, this is overall good news, and today we're going to talk about what this could mean not only for the paraheads out there, but also the cruise ship industry as a whole. Just to briefly catch all you fine folk up to speed, and for those of you out there that haven't heard of Margaritaville at Sea, this cruise line originally was a little cruise line that could established in 2014, known as Bahamas Paradise. They had two ships within their fleet, the Grand Classica and the Grand Celebration. Unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemic and the 18-month cruise pause, the Grand Celebration had to be sold for scrap so they can incorporate a little bit of money in their pocket. This left the Grand Classica. The Grand Classica originally belonged to Carnival Corporation, the largest cruise company on Earth. Their Italian cruise line known as Costa. It was once called the Costa Neo Classica back in 1991 when it was built, and eventually became the Costa Classica, and eventually in 2018 sold to Bahamas Paradise and then was named the Grand Classica. In 2022, Bahamas Paradise formed an official partnership with the legendary Margaritaville by Jimmy Buffett. By the way, rest in peace to Jimmy Buffett. As many of you know, unfortunately on September 1st, just over a month ago, he did pass away. However, thankfully, his legacy does live on through his music, his resorts all over the world, and now, as you can see, Margaritaville at Sea. During August of 2022, the official launch of the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise cruise ship took place, and unfortunately, this vessel was subject to a lot, and I do mean a lot of criticism. Two big points that people often brought up in terms of criticisms against Margaritaville at Sea was that, for starters, when it came to Margaritaville at Sea versus Margaritaville, the resorts, and just the brand as a whole, it didn't exactly line up very well in terms of aesthetics, the music, and just the overall vibe. It just wasn't there if you were to compare the two. Also, a lot of people were saying when it came to the ship itself, keep in mind this is a seasoned vessel, launched in the year 1991, and prior to that, the ship was originally supposed to launch in July of 2022. However, the company came out, made announcements that they're going to be doing this $1 million renovation to give everybody a better experience, and when everybody got on board, a lot of people were just kind of stunned and disappointed at the fact that it didn't look like a whole lot had been done. And as somebody that has been on that ship, I could say the criticisms and opinions that have been put out there are, in my opinion, somewhat justified in some kind of way. Keep in mind, these are, of course, opinions. There are a lot of people that go on board and have a great time. But one thing that I have mentioned is that if you are not a seasoned cruiser, for example, you're not sailing with the bigger lines like your Carnival, your Royal Caribbean, especially like your celebrities and versions of the premium variety, then yeah, you're going to have a good time. You want a quick getaway? Yeah, you're going to have a good time. But overall, I would say that, and I've said this before, if you were to ever win a free cruise, this is the ship that they will put you on. To be clear here, before we get into what's going on currently, I'm not trying to bash Margaritaville. I'm just giving you guys a little context and what is widely popular opinions as far as what's going on with the brand to this date. Now, we do have another cruise ship. Well, this involves technically like 3 different lines. We do know there's the Carnival Corporation. It's the largest cruising company on Earth. They have 9 brands spread across the world, like AIDA, the German brand. We have Holland America, Princess Cruises, Carnival, you name it. Now, we have another line that is partnered with Carnival Cruise Line over in Asia that recently popped out, known as Adora Cruises. However, they have ships and they have all of these other things going on in terms of growth, and they want to go ahead and start getting rid of a couple ships that they have in their inventory. One of which is a former Costa ship known as the Costa Atlantica. However, if you were to go online right now and Google MAS Islander, which stands for Margaritaville at Sea Islander, you will see pictures of this ship, the Costa Atlantica. This does seem, of course, right on par with the branding, be it Bahamas Paradise or Margaritaville at Sea. Their ship that they currently have in operation right now, formerly known as the Grand Classica, used to be, like I said at the beginning of the video, the Costa Classica. The ship they had before that they had to scrap and get rid of, the Grand Celebration, also used to belong to the Carnival family. Two big differences between the current ships that Margaritaville at Sea now owns. Of course, the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise, currently in operation out of West Palm Beach, and now the Margaritaville at Sea Islander, is the capacity and the age. The Margaritaville at Sea Paradise cruise ship, currently operating short sailings out of West Palm Beach, was built in the year 1991 and holds just under 1,300 passengers. Meanwhile, their newest old ship, soon to be in operation, well, maybe in like a year or so, was built just about 10 years later in the year 2000 and holds 2,600 passengers. By the way, somebody keep a counter. How many times in this video did I say Margaritaville? As far as the dollar amount, it hasn't been disclosed as far as what Margaritaville paid for their new ship, the Islander. However, I do believe that overall, industry-wise, this is great news. If you've been paying attention throughout the pandemic and even in current times, a lot of cruise lines, these legacy brands, like of course your Carnival, your Royal Caribbean, your Norwegian, and even over in Europe, your Costa Cruises, they have been getting rid of a lot of their fleet, in particular the older ships. Recently, Costa has announced that they plan to get rid of 6 of their ships within their fleet. That way they can bring newer, better, and improved ships into the fold. We've seen the same thing over here in the United States with America's cruise line Carnival. They've been getting rid of, for the most part, the entire fantasy class. We've seen the Imagination go, we've seen the Fantasy go. Right now we got the Paradise left, and then of course we have their other oldest ship, the Elation. But looking at how things have been going, ships have been breaking down and whatnot. They've been getting newer ships in, like of course the Jubilee set to debut in December, and well, it just all makes sense, all for the better of course. When it comes to Margaritaville, there are a lot of options as far as how this could play out. There have been a lot of arguments that this new ship, the Islander, is too big to fit at the West Palm Beach cruise port, and well, I do agree. If you haven't been over there, it's a tiny little area, very industrialized as well. You do of course have the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise currently operating just 2-day sailings out of West Palm Beach going to Grand Bahamas. By the way, Grand Bahamas also making some improvements over in that specific area, and then coming right back to West Palm Beach. Let's put on our tinfoil hats here and just imagine that maybe the Islander would sail out of someplace else, like maybe a Fort Lauderdale or Port Canaveral or maybe even Miami, and do longer sailings, possibly even going to the actual Margaritaville at Sea Resort somewhere over in the Bahamas or just somewhere in the Caribbean area. Personally, I do believe this is the more likely scenario. Do I think that they're going to just sail out of a bigger cruise port? I don't think so, but do I think they're going to try to make an attempt to do longer itineraries other than just 2 days? That way they can, of course, capitalize and maybe one day when the stars align, compete with the other legacy cruise lines like the Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and Norwegian? Yeah, maybe that is a real possibility. Obviously, until such a time comes, there are a lot of improvements that are definitely going to need to be made branding-wise and just operational-wise for Margaritaville at Sea. Just keep in mind they've only been around since last year, so there is a lot of room to run here as long as they're able to keep some kind of appeal to keep butts and seats and passengers from going to the other legacy cruise lines. And yeah, they could possibly have something here. And of course, whenever this ship does actually launch, I will be on it. I already told you guys, I'm not going back on Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. I did a back-to-back, and I'll never do it again. I can't. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to knock the line. I'm just saying that they're brand new, and when you look at actually physically being on board, it's just not personally my cup of tea. I've seen too much. I have been pampered going on all of these other luxurious cruise lines, and well, of course, you have Royal Caribbean and Carnival. They all have been brought up to be well-oiled machines. They know what they're doing. They got a good system in place, so it is hard to go from that to then go back. So of course I am a little biased here because I have been on other lines, but of course guys, this is what I got here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Of course, hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already. Know as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.